Hi, my name is Jen Miller. I'm your literacy specialist, and this is a 5-minute overview of the Common Core state standards as they relate to literacy in both science and social studies. To begin, the 3 sets of standards that you're looking at as a science and social studies teacher are the Next Generation Science Standards, which were adopted for implementation in Illinois in 2016-2017. The Illinois Learning Standards for Social Science, which were newly updated for implementation in 2022-2023. There are some significant changes to that set of standards. If you haven't looked at them in the last 2 years, I would recommend doing that. One of the changes is the name of the standards. So if you go to Google it, you will need to do Illinois Learning Standards for Social Science specifically. Otherwise, you probably will come up with the older standards. And then, of course, there is the Common Core State Standards for grades 6 through 12 literacy in history, social studies, science, and technical subjects, which was adopted for implementation in Illinois in 2013-2014. So as you can see, they actually precede the other 2 sets of standards. In terms of implementing the standards, it's important to note that science and social studies are a little bit different. Science, next-gen science standards already include and refer to specific literacy standards from Common Core within the sections that you might look at on the website. While social studies, even though recently updated, does not do the same thing. There is some overlap between the social studies standards and the Common Core standards for literacy in social studies, specifically research and the use of evidence. However, there are lots of areas in which the Common Core standards for literacy provide specificity about reading and writing in ways that the other 2 do not. I do have a comparison chart that shows where those overlaps are for social studies. I would love to share that with you if you'd like to dive deeper. In both cases of science and social studies, the takeaway is to know and use both in conjunction with one another. Our goal in looking at the standards and aligning ourselves to the standards is to cultivate a dynamic learning environment in your classroom, across your team, your PLC, and also in your school in general, so that students can grow as strong, thoughtful, disciplinary readers, writers, and thinkers, since the reading, writing, and thinking tasks are different in different subject areas. We want students to be capable of comprehending grade level texts, also to know what to do when the text is too hard. Since grade level texts will be too hard for many of our students, we need to give them strategies to help them access and dive into and think about those texts, even when they are difficult. We want them to think critically and communicate effectively through writing and speaking, ultimately so that they're well prepared for what they're going to experience, the demands that will be on them as readers and writers in high school and higher education and in their future careers. The following couple of slides are going to have summaries on them, condensing down what the Common Core literacy standards say. I encourage you to look at them in detail, but this provides an overview. The science reading literacy standards in Common Core ask students to understand and analyze scientific texts specifically, to integrate information from multiple sources together, to read and comprehend science and technical texts at their grade level, and be able to follow scientific procedures in writing and understand scientific terminology. When it comes to social studies, the standards are similar. This is another summary of them. Students should be able to analyze and understand historical texts, integrate information from various sources, and be able to read and comprehend history and social studies texts at grade level. When it comes to writing, science and social studies are combined in Common Core. In both subjects, it asks that students be able to write arguments and informative or explanatory texts that include evidence, and that in both cases, they are able to adjust their writing for the style of your discipline. And both also ask students to research and incorporate that research into their writing. Finally, there is a reference to narrative writing when it is appropriate inside something historical or related to a scientific description. Finally, next steps for teachers. The first thing to do is to get to know your updated standards. If it's been a while since you looked at them, or if you haven't seen the updated version of social studies, or if you haven't looked at the Common Core standards for literacy in a while, it would be great to spend some time in them, highlighting things that you recognize or that you feel you want to do a better job of covering. That will help you then with number 2 to evaluate any holes that you see in your curriculum or identify things that you might need some help with. And number 3, evaluate your own assessment questions. Since your assessments should align directly to the standards, that would be a great thing to do, is to take a look at what questions you're asking and what tasks you're asking students to perform on your assessments, and evaluate their alignment to the standards and then to the depth of knowledge that you're asking a student to use to answer those questions. I know I said this video would be 5 minutes. I'm sorry that it's 6. That was a brief overview of the standards for literacy. I would love to help you unpack them further or look at their alignment to your current materials for your class. Contact me anytime and have a great day.